Welcome to Barley and Hops. Today we're going to answer that question. What is the alcohol content of that wine? Well, you know that when you make wine initially and you measure the initial gravity with your hydrometer and then you measure the final gravity with your hydrometer, we're all aware of the mathematical formula, initial gravity minus final gravity multiplied by 131.25 will give you the alcohol by volume of your wine. But there are times and there are cases where you either don't have a hydrometer, you've lost a hydrometer, you forgot to use the hydrometer, whatever the case may be. There is a method, and it's called the Gay-Lasser method of measuring the alcohol by volume in a finished product. Now this works in wine and it'll also work in mash. And see, there are two instruments that we have here, and they're called a vinometer. I'll put that on the screen, a vinometer. And this is what they look like. It's just a small tube, and they're a graduated cylinder, and we'll pour wine into these. And if you follow the instructions, they're very, very simple and straightforward. Now it's going to be difficult for you to see on the video. We're using the cranberry wine that we made from concentrate about a month ago. And we already know that based on our measurements of initial gravity and final gravity that we're right a little bit over a 14% wine here. And so we're going to use the Gay-Lasser method. And what that really does is, since it's a graduated cylinder with a small orifice, we know that alcohol is lighter than water. So to not be too technical, it's going to pour through this cylinder at different rates, and at some point it's going to stop. And that's what happens. And so this is how easy this is. Oh, by the way, this one's made in Belgium. This one's made, I don't know, somewhere in the United States, but they're very relatively inexpensive, about $6, about $15 for these. What you do is just pour a little bit of wine, and I use a little plastic bottle to catch anything that drops out, and you'll allow a few drops to drop out of this. And once a few drops drop out of it, and we're going to wait patiently, there goes one. So you see it's a really, really small orifice. There's two. We're going to let the third drop out of that. And there it goes. Place your finger over the hole, dump out the remaining wine, turn it upside down so you're reading the numbers correctly. Remove your finger and the wine will start to run down the tube and start to try to fall out the bottom. It's going to stop, and it's really, really difficult for you to see on this video, but it's just like reading a thermometer. It's going to stop at the alcohol content of the wine or whatever it was you placed in this. And this one stops at 14, I give it like a 14.2, 14.3, which is right in line with what we measure with our hydrometer. So there's an option for you. This is an opportunity for you to measure wines. No one wants to not be able to tell you what is the alcohol content of the wine, especially if you've made your own wine. You like to tell someone how potent it is. And again, this also works for a mash. So the only challenge with a mash, I will tell you, is make sure your mash is absolutely clear, because any particulates, because of the size of the orifice in this and the way it's graduated, any particulates in here can kind of throw that off because they'll get stuck. So just make sure your mash is absolutely clear. This one works exactly the same way. The primary difference is this one has a scale on an outside scale that you can read very, very easily and readily. It's made a little bit more sturdy. This one's real simplistic in its form. Matter of fact, it looks like a thermometer itself, and it's a little bit difficult to read for us old guys that have to wear glasses, but that's how you can check the alcohol content of your wine.